The first item we'll look at as we review accounts payable is a supplier database record. Supplier database records are very similar to other types of database records in Spectra, but with a few notable differences. The first is the Financial tab. Here you can quickly see your aged balance, your year-to-date purchases, and your year-to-date payments for this supplier. Other notable differences are within the Accounting tab. Here you will set up your defaults and contract details with the particular supplier. For efficiency, when entering invoices, you can specify a default GL account number to be used. If you require your suppliers to have insurance, you can select Insurance Certificate Required, then select the level. The details of the insurance is kept on the Insurance tab. If the supplier does not have adequate insurance, then you will be notified when entering an invoice into the system or when selecting the invoice for payment. Let's take a look at entering supplier invoices into Spectra. Supplier invoices are entered into a supplier invoice batch. First, enter the specifications of your batch, including whether you wish to enforce data entry by building or bank. We're now ready to enter the invoice details. First, find your supplier by simply typing in the first few letters to narrow down your search. Next, type in the supplier invoice number, default invoice date, posting date, and payment due date will appear. However, you can make changes to these dates if required. Next, type in the invoice total. When entering the line items of this invoice, you can choose to enter an optional reference number and description. Next, select the building that the invoice is associated to. When the building is selected, the bank will automatically populate, as well as the GL code which we specified on the supplier database record. Next, we can type in the amount for the specific line item. Next, enter any remaining line items. Spectra allows you to enter a single invoice for multiple buildings, even if each building has a separate bank account. You can place the invoice on hold for any particular reason by checking the Hold Payment checkbox and entering in your reason. You can also scan and attach a copy of the invoice to the invoice record to create a paperless office environment. Once you've entered the details of the invoice, you can click on the Add New Database Record to enter another invoice, or you can back out to the main screen where you can preview, print, and post your batch. You can restrict users' access to the Post button using the Data Security module. In addition to the invoice batch entry option, Spectra also includes the ability to enter recurring invoices as well as auto-withdrawal invoices. Now let's take a look at making payments. Our first step is to select which invoices we'd like to pay. As you can see, there are several ways to search for a specific invoice or narrow down your invoice list. If you select a specific bank, you will be able to see the bank's account balance. To choose the invoice, click on the $ button beside the invoice. If a bank is used for multiple buildings, you can check to see if each building's portion of that bank account is sufficient to cover the invoices selected for payment for each building. To check this, click on the Due to From Balances button in the top right-hand corner. If an invoice you're selecting has been placed on hold, a message box will appear notifying you that the invoice is on hold and the reason why. Next, we'll want to print the checks to our suppliers. You will see a check printing recap screen where you can print or preview a disbursement report. Then, print and post your checks. The Accounts Payable module allows you to print your checks on a pre-printed check form. There is an optional micro-check writing module available for clients with multiple checking accounts who may prefer to print checks on blank check stock.